Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 17 is just about a month or so away from showing what it actually has to offer. There were months of silence from leakers, but now a few reputable sources continue to leak details. So let's go over the latest as to what we believe will be contained in iOS 17 based off of reputable sources. This time around from Mark Gurman and also from another source that leaked details about the yellow iPhone and other things in the past that turned out to be true. Now, as far as supported devices, there's no change expected for iPhones. That means iPhone 8, 8 Plus, iPhone 11, 12, all the way up to the 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max should gain support for iOS 17. Now, this could always change last minute. Apple has the right to change that, but it doesn't look like they're going to, which is great news for anyone with a little bit older phone at this point. Also, more reports suggest some iPads would lose support in iPadOS 17, which means 3 different iPads so far that we're hearing over and over. The 5th generation iPad, 1st gen iPad Pro models, so 9.7 and 12.9 inch iPads, so 3 in total. Now, as far as what's new or what to expect, it looks like the Health app is actually going to make its way onto the iPad. So not only will it make its way to the iPad, you'll be able to monitor your health, go through different things such as medicine and more, but there'll be new options in here as well. So if we go to browse, we could have everything not just from activity and measurements, but also a mood tracker that will ask you questions throughout the day and help you track it over time. This could be good to help you with depression or others just seeing how to improve day to day. So that's said to actually be included in this. And this is also said to carry across to the upcoming VR headset. This would help people manage things such as nearsightedness. So different health things are expected here. Of course, we're waiting for blood glucose monitoring with Apple Watch. That could be a few years out. Hopefully that happens, but this time around it looks like that's what we're going to get. We could see other improvements as far as the interface as well. Additionally, next year, Health will also be updated with an AI-based service to help encourage exercise, help with sleep tracking, and focus on healthy eating. This particular AI-based part could be canceled or postponed, according to Mark Gurman. But either way, they're trying to push AI more into the iPhone, and hopefully it improves Siri, but there hasn't been any information about that. Also with iOS 17 this time around, Apple is expected to have a very similar app to Day One. Day One is a journaling app, and this would sort of go along with Health, maybe journal day to day. Also, it could go along with the VR headset, maybe something else, but it seems like they're going to make one very similar. So that's bad news for Day One, but this happens to a lot of popular apps. Apple will sort of make their own version. That doesn't mean that app will go away, but hopefully it offers something different that Day One doesn't. Now, the lock screen is said to get some updates, and iOS 17 is not expected to be a huge update as far as features, but more of a refinement. We've talked about that before. This time around, the lock screen is set to gain more customization. So currently, of course, we can change wallpaper. I personally would like to see maybe some of this interaction be sped up. It's too many taps and steps to actually set a wallpaper. However, just like when we had the original setup for the lock screen, we can go in, maybe tap on the time here, and then change the font. It's set to get more options, maybe with an overall font size adjustment and more. So we'll gain more customizations with that. We'll also gain more customization similar to what you can do on the Apple Watch, where you can set up what you want and then share it out to someone else. So if you like the lock screen I have, I would be able to share it with you, then you would have the exact same setup. Same thing with widgets and more. So that's a nice little feature. We do have it for the Apple Watch. A lot of people ask for this Apple Watch watch face, and so it would be great to be able to share that out just like you can with the lock screen here, or just like you can on the watch, but with the lock screen here. So that's something I think makes sense. Also, one thing I'm a bit excited about is actually lyrics on the lock screen. This is something that would go along with music. Of course, we currently have that. If I turn this down here, Musics and Apple Music will follow along. You can tap on it to jump to different parts of the album, and it would be great to have this right on the lock screen. So that's something that is said to be coming to this update. Additionally, it's said that Apple Music will get a little bit of a revamp, meaning it's very heavy on text right now and is said to be updated to have more of a visual experience. Instead of having words and just type all over the place, it would be more of a visual interface with more pictures and more. So what that means, I'm not exactly sure, but maybe getting rid of the library where it looks like this, replacing it with different album art and more. I would love to see cover flow brought back though. That's something I hear all the time, where you could rotate and then go through your albums. something I miss. It's actually something I used, and I'm surprised they removed it, as I think it's something that Steve Jobs went over many, many times and would probably want in the overall music app. So hopefully they bring that back. Also, it's said that the app library will get some updates. So the app library currently is nice, where you just have all of your apps, but also auto sorts everything, but you don't really have much control over this. In iOS 17, it said that we could expect this to be able to be more customized, where we could customize a folder, rename it instead of it just picking productivity. We could change the name to it to whatever we want. So there would be more customization here. If we go in, this says shopping and food, and while it's mostly got it right, we might want it to say something else. It could say coffee, or it could say Amazon, or just different online stores, whatever you would want it to say. So that customization is expected. There's also, of course, changes we're expecting for the control center. What that means, I'm not sure, but enough sources have actually confirmed this. Last year, some people mentioned it, and then it was never done. This time around, you have a bunch of people confirming it, so it looks like they're finally going to do this. And within that customization has to do with not only the different things here, but also some of the apps within, or buttons. In particular, the flashlight is said to get a different adjustment here, where we currently have 5 different steps or levels of brightness. This would be more of an infinite adjustment, where you could bring it up and down like the brightness on your phone, where it's just sort of a slider instead of just steps. So that's something we could see with the update. There's also expected to be updates to Find My. What that means specifically, we don't know, but Find My could be brought into other apps with interoperable functionality, and additionally be updates to Wallet as well. So there'll be Wallet updates, so that's something that we're expecting. What that means, I'm not sure. It could be an interface overview, maybe an icon redesign, or something else. And so iOS 17 is looking to be a much bigger update than expected. We've heard about some other things here. There's said to be no standout features, and in a recent podcast with Mark Gurman on Mac Rumors, he actually said that you can expect under 200 changes. Now, to put that in perspective, iOS 16 actually had 300 to 400 changes. So 200 or less changes would mean they're focusing on stability and refinement, which is something I definitely welcome. It seems to be more and more buggy this time around. And I was recently asked, why is iOS 16 so buggy if Apple's working on other things as well? And that's probably why. At this point, they probably focused on making iOS 17 as stable as possible, plus they're working on RealityOS or XROS for the headset and trying to refine all of that. They have limited teams, and it makes sense that they would actually have to work less on iOS 16, or just because they have less staff, and they'd focus on iOS 17, making it as stable as possible. It's also said that we might get interactive widgets. I've talked about that before. I'm not sure we'll get that. That seems to be up in the air, but I would love to see little refinements with the phone, meaning with the phone, you could have more than a certain amount of past calls. I hear that a lot. Maybe recording capability, although I don't think they'll do that due to legal regulations around the world. But a redesign of Apple Music is something I've wanted for a long time, as I really don't like the app itself. Safari and Mail, everything else is fine, but I would definitely like to see icons redesigned, maybe with a little bit more depth and something else. Other than that, there's not much more I really want from iOS at this point, other than maybe the ability to adjust your home screen and put icons where you want. Hopefully we have a few surprises from Apple here and there, but they haven't really said much, and at this point, it seems to be quite secret. There's lots of little refinements, and I'm sure we'll hear more and more from Mark Gurman in the future, and we'll have even more leaks up until June 5th, where we have WWDC. That's where we'll see Beta 1, and of course we'll see changes and iterations throughout, all the way to the final release in September. One major thing I wanted to mention too is it's expected that we could get an update to the Photos or Camera app. I would love to see this updated. Of course, their algorithm as well, the ability to turn off HDR. We need a lot more control here, and I really hope Apple adds it. Let me know what you would like to see in iOS 17, and if you'd like me to continue following these iOS 17 leaks, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.